But it's where you get the latest update. And on COVID-19, we have the up-to-date cases from start to date, and then we have the active cases, and we brought that to you. But make sure that you stay with us, because we have relevant discussions also alongside the one we just treated, and it's on the electioneering, the politics of the time, and how we're preparing as a country towards the elections. We have on stream Dr. Kwesi Amache-Boateng, who is a political scientist, senior political science lecturer at the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, and Dr. Kwame Asante is also a senior political science lecturer with the Political Science Department in the University of Ghana. And we have a number of discussions to have with them, and among the issues would be the current debate, especially being raised by the NDC, relevant concerns. Just yesterday or Wednesday, we had the Domahini raising related issues about the posture of the Electoral Commissioner and then also the lack of interaction that they have. We'll do that now. And Dr. Kwesi Amache-Boateng, thank you for joining us for the show. And then Dr. Kwame Asante, also thank you for joining us. Dr. Sante, are you on stream? Okay, we'll have to make sure you put on your sound there. We'll technically do that. But we have to, again, tell you what is the latest. We'll take an insert from Elvis Free-Ankrap, who is the Director of Elections, the NDC, and had an interaction right here on the show, tells you the great content we're providing, and Gifty Ando-Apia asked him some relevant questions. We'll play some of these related issues with you, and then also get you up to speed with all the other concerns that have been raised over the period. Now we'll have the insert of Elvis Free-Ankrap, but please get interactive. We have Facebook Join News on TV. We also do have a Twitter handle, and let us know what you think as you touch base with us through myjohnline.com, where you get all the latest updates, and also Join News TV, official YouTube channel. But let's bring you that insert from Elvis Free-Ankrap.
It's going to be complex because you need to fill forms. It will make the process delay, and therefore it will make the entire process more difficult. So we're saying that it will be extremely impossible for the EC to register 17 million people plus within a month. It's a practical impossibility in a rainy season in a COVID-19 era. By the time we are finished, God forbid, the infection rate would have jumped to 100,000.
And that's a point that the NDC has started making. In fact, your minority in Parliament has started making this morning.
We've been saying this right from get-go.
And well, it's now coming from Parliament. The angle that this is going to create more.
It's been one of the reasons. It's been one of the reasons that we've
indicated that they're going to observe all the protocols.
It still does not. It doesn't make sense. On your screens right now, you're seeing people gathered to go and register. Okay.
No, you are seeing that here, but we did put that on at the point. Those are old visuals anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Right. We know how registration occurs in this country. If you talk about 25 people within the perimeter, you can have control of people within the perimeter. But what about outside the perimeter? If you're doing 6 days of registration in a cluster, people will come the first day by their so-called pilot or demonstration. Only 40, 50 people will be able to register. The next day, the number will increase exponentially. By the third or fourth day, there is going to be chaos. Okay. This is not a prophecy.
You're going to give me a particular legal
42 says every citizen of 18 years or some has a right to vote and is entitled. You see the language, the right to vote. So that right, you can decide not to exercise. But when it comes to registration, it is your entitlement. And therefore, the state, which is the Electoral Commission paid by us, must put in place every measure, systems, mechanisms, processes, and procedures to ensure that that right is exercised. Then quickly, 45.
I need to wrap up.
45, quick one. The Electoral Commission shall have the following functions: to compile the register of voters and revise it at such periods as may be determined by law. But what people are not paying attention legislation to undertake programs for the expansion of the registration of voters. You ask yourself, by these measures that have been put in place, by these unreasonable measures, will it lead to an expansion of the registration of voters? The answer is no. Okay. Many people do not have their Ghana card. Many people do not have passports. The process of guaranteeing is going to make it very cumbersome. And if you look at the demographics from Bono all the way up, it's incredible if you look at the numbers. And imagine a situation where we had 17 million people on the voters roll, and because of the EC's own intransigence, they go ahead and do this COVID-19, and then at the end of the day, you have less people on the register.
So you're looking to challenge this new law?
Oh, we will do whatever it takes, and because it's just not. We want peace in this country. Electoral disputes have led to serious consequences in other countries, and we don't want that to happen. And that is why we keep on talking to the citizens, and thank God many more people are supporting our position. Many more people have seen that the EC is being unreasonable, is being arbitrary, and we have Supreme Court cases, we have precedents, and we are confident that at the end of the day, the will of the people will prevail.
And we have Dr. Kwame Asante, the Political Science Department of the University of Ghana, and with the Department of History and Political Studies, the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, Dr. Kwesi Amache-Boateng. And I start with you, Dr. Asante. If you do a recall, just over the last month or two, there were concerns about the current state because of coronavirus, and that ultimately could affect the compilation of a new voters register. The Electoral Commission has now come forward with a roster. Ultimately, we're having this starting close of the month. Now, what do you make of the decision, first place, taken by the Electoral Commission to go ahead?
Please. Can you ask the question again?
So we're compiling a new voters register. What do you make of the decision to still go ahead with it in the first place by the Electoral Commission, Dr. Kwame Asante?
You know, this conversation has gone on for some time now. It started before this COVID-19 problem. And there were two positions on this. The Electoral Commission saying that we are going ahead with the compilation of new voter register, and then the NDC and other people saying that, no, why don't you make use of the old one? My view about this is that if you look at the way the process has gone, one gets the feeling that there's a time for Electoral Commission to listen to the conversation in town. Simply because, if you recall, at the beginning of this whole process, the Electoral Commission assured us that it was in a position to, as it were, do election for district assemblies and then also carry on with the referendum. And then the referendum was withdrawn, and they went ahead to conduct the district assembly election. So one would have thought that Electoral Commission was in a position to be able to... Hello?
Yeah, please go ahead, Dr. Asante.
Yeah. One would have thought that the Electoral Commission was in a position to continue the exercise because they were even ready for two exercises, for district assembly and then for referendum. And then the referendum was withdrawn. Then in no time, Electoral Commission came back that, no, I can't continue. You have to register people afresh and to start the process again. And that, for me, is where the problem lies. That you have assured us that you will be able to do the two exercises, district assemblies and then referendum. And now we were not able to do the referendum. So it presupposes that you'll be able to carry on with the second exercise if we're given the opportunity. So the U-turn all of a sudden is where the problem lies. And that has brought us this far. So I believe that it's about time Electoral Commission sat down quietly and listened to conversation and reflect on that, and then be able to take a decision that will help all of us. That's my initial comment.
Do I have Dr. Machibuati on stream as well? Okay. Now there's a particular concern, and that was raised by Dr. Emmanuel Akwete, the Executive Director for the Institute for Democratic Governance, right here on the show the last week. And he was saying the Electoral Commission was not forthcoming with a lot of communication, not just its communication officers, but the top hierarchy, to give credibility to its information and the processes and to the public. What do you say to that? Dr. Sasante, can you hear me?
Yeah, please, once again, if you can come up.
There's a concern raised by, here on the show, Dr. Emmanuel Akwete. He is the Executive Director for IDEC. He did raise issues about how communication was not forthcoming from the top hierarchy of the Electoral Commission to give credence to information, the processes, and their program of activities for the electorate and for the population. What do you say to that?
Yeah, this issue has come up time and again. I was at a studio with one of the, I think the political parties reps, i.e. the MPP and the NDC. And this thing came up. And the NDC rep was saying that there are lots of information that the Electoral Commission has not been able to provide for them. But their other colleagues, that's the MPP, they have the information. This thing has been argued and then challenged and all that. But if that is the case, then it's very unfortunate, because for election to be accepted as free and fair, one of the basic things that as a commission they have to do is to be able to allow free flow of information, and then that feeds into the principle of where you create equal playing field for everybody. You don't need to make it impossible for one stakeholder not to have information whilst another one has it. That is a difficulty. And these are some of the things that raise eyebrow when we talk about free and fair elections. So I believe strongly that if this is the case now, then Electoral Commission must quickly address it and then be able to instill confidence in the system so that the stakeholders who are in the process will accept the process and they will be able to defend it at any time. Let us remember, one of the rules under free and fair election is that after everything, the loser of election must accept defeat and abide by the rules of the game. And if these things are the situation that we have on our hand now, then we are likely to have a difficulty when it comes to the time for people to accept defeat and congratulate those who have won the election. And if this is the case, I believe strongly, it is not late for Electoral Commission to rectify so that we can have an equal playing field for all the stakeholders.
Now, that saying, if you analyze the issues being raised on one side, whether it's the MPP, Imani, the rest of civil society, and the concerns that also have been raised, or whether we needed to compile a new voters register or not, and the other side being the Electoral Commission, going alongside the position of the Electoral Commission, the MPP, that, look, we need a new one because we need a clean register. What ideally is your own observation that the Electoral Commission needed to carry on in itself before making that final decision?
I believe that you need to conduct election in a very free and less or no tense atmosphere, so to speak. So if these are things that will bring tension and these are things that will affect the credibility of the election, it is in the interest of the Electoral Commission itself and the interest of this whole country to be able to come to terms with this and accept the busy way of doing it. And the busy way is that you listen to the concerns from different groups and then you'll be able to advise yourself. If you watch the way the process has gone on so far, you will realize that there is one thing that is a border to all of us, and it's the issue of this COVID-19 pandemic. We are worried because we don't know when this disease will end and all that. But within this space, we need to conduct election. And how do we balance this up with the electoral processes that we have, which we need to observe and at the same time observe the COVID-19 protocol. And that is the difficult balancing that we have now. And I'm sure that is where people are coming from, telling the Electoral Commission that, hey, slow down and let us see if you can make do with the old register so that you limit the chances of people acquiring or getting infected by the disease that we have on our hands. And that is where the Electoral Commission seems to have deviated a little bit, that is not trying to play ball with those who argue on these lines. Because what's the point for me to go and register and at the end of the day I get infected? What is the point that the same register that has been used for a number of elections and is there, and you before this time you promised us that the register will be able to use this for 2 exercises, for district assembly elections and also for referendum, and the referendum was withdrawn. If that is the case, then there is every reason to believe that there is one opportunity that the register can also help us in taking advantage of, and that is what the 2020 election. So what has changed? And when you put all these things together, you realize that I think the Electoral Commission must reflect on this and be able to go with the old register and move on. Because if you listen to those who have spoken about this, they are well-meaning Ghanaians, people who, it's not because of politics, but they really love this country, they want things to go on well, and so forth and so on. So, Electoral Commission should not feel, frightened that, look, what I said earlier on, I am now changing my position and all that. There's no defeat in that. All that you want to do is to do something that will stand the test of time and then continue to bring peace to this country. So I believe strongly that Electoral Commission, in the midst of this COVID-19 pandemic, the best way out for us is to be able to have the old register used for this election so that you will be able to reduce the tension, the pressure in this country. Then we move on. There's nothing wrong with that at all.
As we wind up the conversation, let me just tease you with an insert from the Domahene. And Domahene is also the paramount chief of the Doma area in the Bono region, or Sajifu Osiadio Ajimambedu II, and he had this to say. Just listen carefully, and after that, I want you to respond to some key question.
Electoral Commission, National House of Chiefs, Frebe. Samumra, Yanto Towano. Adiana Yantasia, na Yanuma Chiremu. Na of Frebe. Said nay never called the Amid and I'm so my National House of Chiefs. But the Bibiaba Abonting. Abeka ho asem se bi obenhwe yi se be ya emfa oye ne bi nyede emma National House of Chiefs ye dabase na mom menko agema be antoso mienu de na okurani be chare ho dodo asase wura ne ho what a chick so be fresa bi jamensa no lo independent constitution be abetwere subject ni kese bibi twa bibim na ahemfo akuni nini na be good National House of Chiefs na be fraud wamenko to the sense be issue statement after a long time na no why ade so ho kere na me na agima badu the second ya na nya president na nka dodo no form so a nka meka se o ma yes asase so ya ma register nipa no ho na matie nipa na all dene san timagwam se Domahene na lo baba bachem se o baba betom ranti na mom ne baka na oye awura no mesre no as a matter of urgency show of respect ya na nanom buo ya wo mabe as custodians of ya mamre ne sabio baby abetinti mesre Electoral Commissioner maame no me mfra no ma na mom Kumasi House of Chiefs ese so kwansa na to aba kosa nchire buo onye oyin no ye tumi no fa bi ni apono de ama no yes ase ni yakase ya ma so e o ba chem wa wu Domahene ba chene da Na domano bere.
It looks like I won't say, but it's a very straightforward position of a strong traditional chief. What do you make of the statement by by the Domahini, Dr. Kwame Asante?
Yeah, what the chief said is nothing but is expressing the concerns of some section of people in this country. That is a fact. That they are worried about the process and that they think that if we go, the Electoral Commission continues to go on this tangent, you are likely to have difficulty. I think, in summary, that is what the king is trying to put across. But that brings us to this issue of when we say an election is free and fair. There are a lot of things that go into it. But what will make it flawed is you have a number of issues. When they come up, then you are likely to be at that particular end. One is that for election to be free and fair, or for election to be credible, you need equal playing field for all the party stakeholders and all that. So you ask yourself, will this process, the way we are going, will it create that enabling environment for us to ensure that all the stakeholders they have equal playing field to be able to contest for the election, and then we get to the end. Another thing is that is the management of the election. We need an important component of the whole process, and it must be done properly. The management starts from now up to the day of voting and even beyond. Political scientists have identified 3 phases in elections, where we have what the pre-election phase, the during election phase, and the post-election phase. For the pre-election phase, there are things you need to do. You need to register people. You need to avail the register to political parties to check whether the names in there are correct and they represent the people and all that. And you need to do certain, processes, procure materials, get them ready for the D-Day. On the D-Day, that is the during election phase. You need, the Electoral Commission must be able to have all its men on the ground to be able to prosecute the agenda of what? Allowing people to vote and vote well. And then after which, the Electoral Commission is supposed to declare results. All these things, you need transparency to come in. You don't need to hide information from anybody. You don't need to deny people the opportunity to see the process or to verify the process and all that. And another thing that will also lead to a flawed election is when the rules of the game are thrown to the door. There are rules governing the whole process of election, and that is what is supposed to guide the whole process so that people will have confidence in them. Remember, rules and laws are nothing but what? The instruments that regulate human conduct and instill confidence in the people. And the last of it is what? The players of the game must also accept defeat when they lose the election and abide by the rules of the game. All that we are saying is that if we want to ensure free and fair elections and want to prevent any flawed election from happening, then these things must be held intact. For me, my consolation is that one of the issues, the contending issue, is the issue of who qualifies to the issue that the electoral NDC has sent to court. The good news is that today Supreme Court will speak, and when they Supreme Court speaks on it, for me, the matter comes to hand. So let us rest in the hope that the court will speak today, and when they speak, all these noise that we are hearing will just be a thing of the past. It is my hope and prayer that we get to that destination so that we go to this election with hope and confidence that whoever is in the process and they are part of the doubting Thomases will be able to say that, yes, initially we doubted the process, but at the end we accept the result and this country can move on from that direction.
Oh, thank you very much. Great insight into our current state as we prepare for the elections. And please stay with us. We will bring you all that live update from the courts. And Dr. Kwame Asante is a political science lecturer with the Political Science Department of the University of Ghana. And of course, we need voters to be a mainstay of the election. If they're not in the right state of mind, their mental health is not up to speed, it also poses great danger to the credibility of the elections. And talking about mental state is a big conversation we want to have. And Gifty, we need to have this, don't we?